Before the flight to Geneva, CEO Amelia Hayes glanced at the man sitting across from her. Maintenance jacket, oil-stained hands. She said quietly, just loud enough for him to hear. "My company pays you to clean planes, not sit with me." He only smiled. "Thanks for the reminder." An hour later, the plane shook violently. Passengers screamed, "Captain unconscious!" A flight attendant shouted. In the chaos, his deep voice cut through. "Stay in position. I used to fly F-22s. She froze. The man she'd insulted an hour ago was now holding the sky together with the scarred hands of a warrior. Ethan Cole, 40 years old, single father, former U.S. Air Force fighter pilot, now working as an aircraft maintenance engineer at Zurich Airport. Amelia Hayes, 33, CEO of Hayes Aviation, inherited the company from her father. Cold, efficient, didn't believe in old-timers. Ethan used to fly F-22 Raptors. Call sign, Hawk. He'd set records for rescuing squad mates in blizzards. After the 2014 explosion that killed his co-pilot, he requested discharge, left with a long scar on his arm and a little girl, Sophie, 9 years old. He became an aircraft maintenance engineer, lived simply, never bragged about his past. Amelia, young CEO, famous for being steel and ice. She ran Europe's largest private aviation company. She believed everything could be bought, including respect. That morning, she had a flight to Geneva to sign a billion-dollar contract. When she boarded, she recognized the maintenance man from yesterday sitting in business class. "What's he doing here?" she asked the flight attendant. "The airline asked him to accompany us to check the new engine system." She smiled slightly. "The engine I'm using costs $50 million. I don't think it needs a janitor babysitting it." He stayed silent, sat reading an old newspaper. When the plane flew over the Alps, she leaned forward, noticed the scar on his hand. Old, deep. "Did you get hurt cleaning planes?" He answered quietly. "Flying, not cleaning." She frowned. Before she could ask more, the captain's voice announced bad weather signals, real person detail. A flight attendant recalled, "I saw him sitting still, hand gripping the seatbelt, eyes looking far away." The CEO kept glancing over, but didn't dare ask more. The cabin lights dimmed as clouds thickened outside. Turbulence started, soft at first, then harder. Amelia closed her laptop, looked out the window, mountains below like jagged teeth. Ethan didn't move. His breathing was steady, controlled. The breathing pattern of someone who'd trained for chaos. She noticed something else. His left hand rested on his knee, 3 fingers slightly curled, like they were still gripping something. A control stick, maybe. "You really flew?" she asked, voice softer now. "For 12 years. Why stop?" "Because some flights you don't come back from the same." She wanted to ask what he meant, but the plane jolted. Hard. Passengers gasped. The captain's voice came back on, calmer than it should be. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some weather. Please remain seated." Ethan's jaw tightened, just slightly. She saw it. "That's not weather," he said under his breath. "What?" "That sound. Port engines misfiring." "How do you know?" "Because I've heard it before." Her heart kicked. "Should we be worried?" He didn't answer right away, just looked at the ceiling, like he was listening to something only he could hear. "Not yet," he finally said, "but soon." The plane steadied. Plane? Passengers relaxed. Amelia didn't. She watched him. This man she'd dismissed. This man with oil under his nails and a scar that told a story he wouldn't share. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "For what?" "For assuming." He turned to her, eyes gray like storm clouds. "People assume all the time. It's when they don't learn that it matters." "What should I learn?" "That the people who keep you safe are usually the ones you don't notice." The words sat between them, heavy. True. Outside, the Alps stretched endlessly, beautiful and deadly. Inside, 2 strangers sat in silence. One learning, one remembering, real person detail. A passenger later said, "They talked in low voices, like 2 people who'd known each other before. I thought they understood each other better than they realized." The flight attendant brought drinks. Amelia took water. Ethan declined. Don't drink before landing? She asked. Old habit. Stay sharp until wheels touch ground. Even on commercial flights? Especially on commercial flights. She studied him. Really looked this time. The way he sat, upright but relaxed, alert but not tense. The posture of someone trained to be ready. You miss it, she said. Not a question. Every day. Then why not go back? Because some doors close for a reason. And some open. He smiled. Small. Sad. We'll see. The plane began its descent. Geneva appeared below. City lights like scattered diamonds. Amelia felt something shift. In her chest. In her perspective. This man she'd judged in seconds had lived lifetimes she couldn't imagine. Maybe I was wrong, she said softly. To think people like you just clean. He answered gently. Maybe I was wrong to think people like you never regret. The wheels touched down, smooth, safe. Neither of them knew that in 3 hours, they'd be back in the sky, and nothing would be smooth or safe again. The plane taxied to the gate. Business class emptied slowly. Amelia gathered her things. Ethan stayed seated. Not getting off? She asked, waiting for the maintenance crew. Right. She paused. What's your name? Ethan. Amelia. I know. She almost smiled. Of course you do. He stood, taller than she'd thought. Your meeting. Good luck. Thanks. She walked away, stopped, turned back. Ethan? Yeah? If you're still in Zurich tonight, coffee? He looked surprised. Why? Because I want to hear the story behind that scar. It's not a good story. The best ones never are. He considered, nodded. Cafe Bern, 8 p.m. I'll be there. She left. He watched her go, then smiled to himself. 8 p.m., Cafe Bern, small, warm, old wood and soft lights. Amelia arrived first, ordered tea, waited. Ethan came in wearing jeans and a worn leather jacket. She almost didn't recognize him without the maintenance uniform. He sat across from her. You came. I said I would. People say a lot of things. I'm not most people. I noticed. The waiter brought coffee for Ethan. Black, no sugar. They talked. Not about business, about flying, about strategy, about the feeling of flying for others. He said, a good pilot isn't the one who flies highest. It's the one who dares to turn back and save. She asked, did you do that? Once, and it cost me everything. She looked down, realized his eyes didn't hold regret. They held conviction. He told her about the mission, January 2014. Rescue operation over Afghanistan. His wingman's plane was hit, going down. Ethan could have kept flying, should have kept flying. But he turned back, flew into hostile airspace. No backup, no clearance, just instinct and loyalty. He pulled his wingman out, but the enemy fire hit his plane. His co-pilot didn't make it. I saved one, lost one, he said quietly. The Air Force called it unauthorized risk. I called it the only choice I had. They discharged you? I requested it. Couldn't fly the same after that. Every time I pulled the stick, I heard his voice. She reached across the table, touched his scarred hand. I'm sorry. Don't be, he would have done the same. They sat in silence. Not uncomfortable, just heavy. You know what the worst part is? He said. What? People see the scar and think I'm broken, but I'm not. I'm just different. Different how? I know what matters now. Which is getting people home safe, even if no one remembers my name. Amelia felt something crack inside her chest, the armor she'd worn for years. I've spent my whole life, she said slowly, trying to be remembered, trying to be the best, the smartest, the one who wins. And I'm exhausted, he smiled. Then stop. It's not that easy. It never is, but it's simple. What is? Choosing people over profit, connection over control. She laughed, bitter. You sound like a fortune cookie. I sound like someone who almost died and realized none of the trophies mattered. That stopped her. Outside, Zurich's lights glowed against the dark. Inside, two people sat across from each other, closer than they'd been an hour ago. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Why did you smile when I insulted you on the plane? Because I knew you didn't mean it. How? Because people who are truly cruel don't look away after. You did. She blinked. You saw that? I see a lot of things people think they hide. Like? Like you're scared. Her breath caught. Of what? Of being ordinary. The words landed like a punch. True. Devastating. I am ordinary, she whispered. No, he said gently. You're human. There's a difference. Tears stung her eyes. She blinked them back. I don't know how to be that. Start by being kind to people who don't look important. Like you, like everyone. They finished their drinks in silence. When they left, the night air was cold, clean. Thank you, she said. For what? For not judging me back. I don't judge, I just watch. And what do you see? Someone trying to find her way home. She smiled, small, real. I think I just did. Real person detail. The cafe owner later said, they sat for 2 hours, didn't check phones, just talked. When they left, the woman's face looked softer, like she'd been carrying something heavy and finally put it down. When Amelia got back to her hotel, she sat by the window, looked at the city below. She thought about Ethan, about scars, about choices. She opened her laptop, typed an email to her board. Subject, changing course. Body, we need to invest in people, not just profit. She didn't send it, not yet, but she knew she would. Tomorrow she'd fly back to Zurich, back to her company, back to her life, but something had shifted, and she couldn't unsee it. Outside, a plane flew overhead, red lights blinking. She wondered if Ethan was watching it too, wondering the same thing she was. What if? The next morning, Amelia's return flight was scheduled for 11 a.m. She boarded early, business class again, same seat. Ethan wasn't there. She felt disappointed, which surprised her. Passengers filled the cabin. Flight attendants did safety checks. Everything routine. The captain's voice came on, warm, confident. Good morning, folks. Flight time to Zurich, 1 hour, 15 minutes. Weather's clear. Sit back and enjoy. The plane pushed back, taxied to the runway. Engines roared. Amelia closed her eyes, thought about last night, about coffee and confessions. The plane lifted, smooth, climbing fast. She opened her laptop, started working. 30 minutes in, she heard it. A sound. Wrong, like metal grinding. She looked up. Other passengers heard it too. Then, bang! The plane lurched violently, left side dipped, overhead bins rattled, screams. The captain's voice, not warm now, tight. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Please remain calm. Remain calm, the words people say when you should panic. The plane shook again, harder. Lights flickered. Amelia's heart hammered. She gripped the armrests. A flight attendant ran past, face pale. What's happening? Someone shouted. Engine failure. Right side. No, 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 no. The plane tilted, steep, too steep. Oxygen masks dropped. Passengers grabbed them, crying, praying. Amelia's hands shook. She couldn't breathe. The captain's voice again. Braking. Hydraulics not responding. We're losing altitude. This can't be happening. A businessman across the aisle grabbed her hand. We'll be okay. She couldn't answer, throat tight. A mother in the row ahead held her child, whispering, Close your eyes, baby, close your eyes. The plane dropped, stomach lurching freefall. Bags flew from overhead compartments. A laptop smashed into the ceiling. Someone screamed, We're going to die! A flight attendant burst from the cockpit, eyes wild. Is there anyone on this plane with flight experience? Anyone? Silence, terror. People looked at each other, helpless. Then, from the back of business class, a voice, deep, calm, familiar. I have flight experience. Amelia's head snapped around. Ethan, standing, pulling off his jacket. Her heart stopped, then started again, faster. The flight attendant ran to him. You're a pilot? Fighter pilot, U.S. Air Force. Can you fly this? I can try. He moved toward the cockpit, fast, purposeful. Amelia stood. Ethan, he stopped, looked at her, their eyes met. In that second, everything said, You got this? Her voice cracked. He smiled, small, sure. Stay in your seat. I'm bringing everyone home." Then he was gone. Inside the cockpit, chaos. The captain slumped in his seat, conscious but barely, blood on his forehead, co-pilot alone, young, terrified, hands shaking on the controls. "Who are you?" the co-pilot gasped. "Ethan Cole. Call sign Hawk. Step aside." The co-pilot didn't argue, moved. Ethan slid into the captain's seat, hands on the controls, muscle memory kicking in. The plane was diving, fast, mountains ahead. The instrument panel flashed red, alarms screaming. "Talk to me," Ethan said. "What's working?" "Nothing. Hydraulics dead. Right engine's gone. Left's failing. Flaps? Manual only. Gear? Unknown. Fuel? Half tank, but we're losing pressure." Ethan scanned the panel. Ancient compared to an F-22, but the basics were the same. Lift, drag, thrust, gravity. Physics didn't change. He pulled the stick. Gently. The plane resisted, shuddering. "Come on," he muttered. "Talk to me." The altimeter spun. 15,000 feet, 14,000, 13,000. Mountains filled the windscreen. Jagged peaks, snow, death. Passengers in the cabin screamed. Amelia pressed her face to the window, saw the ground rushing up. "This is it," she thought. "This is how I die. Not in a boardroom, not in bed, but in the sky, falling." Then, the plane leveled slightly, just enough. In the cockpit, Ethan's hands moved like he was conducting an orchestra. Throttle, trim, flaps. "I need power to the left engine," he said. "It's failing." "I don't care. Give me everything." The co-pilot flipped switches. The engine roared, coughing, but alive. "That's it," Ethan said. "Hold together." The plane stabilized, barely, still descending but controlled. "Where's the nearest airport?" Ethan asked. "Sion, 20 kilometers. Vector?" The co-pilot read coordinates. Ethan banked left, sharp. The plane groaned, metal screaming. "We're not going to make it," the co-pilot shouted. "Yes, we are." Ethan's voice cut through, iron, certain. He'd flown through worse. Sandstorms over Baghdad, anti-aircraft fire over hostile zones, blizzards that blinded radar. This was just another mission, and he never left a mission incomplete. The plane dropped 10,000 feet, 9,000, 8,000. Sion Airport appeared ahead, small, surrounded by mountains. "Gear down," Ethan commanded. The co-pilot hit the switch. Nothing. Manual release. Clunk, clunk, clunk. The landing gear dropped, locked, green light. "We're coming in hot," the co-pilot said. "I know." The runway, narrow, too short. Ethan lined up, hands steady, eyes focused. One shot, that's all he had. In the cabin, Amelia whispered, "Please, please." Around her, people prayed in different languages, same desperation. The ground rushed closer. Ethan pulled back on the stick, flared, the plane's nose lifted, wheels hit hard. The plane bounced, skidded, metal screamed, brakes, full, engines reversed, roaring. The plane slid and slid and slid, runway disappearing, end coming, then stop, silence. For 3 seconds, no one moved, no one breathed, then applause, crying, shouting. They were alive. In the cockpit, Ethan sat back, hands still on the controls, shaking now. The co-pilot stared at him. "You just landed a plane with no hydraulics." Ethan exhaled, long, shaky, barely. "Who are you?" "Just a guy who used to fly." Emergency crews swarmed the plane, sirens, lights, chaos, passengers evacuated, shaken but safe. Amelia stumbled down the stairs, legs weak, heart pounding. She saw Ethan standing on the tarmac, hands in his pockets, looking at the plane. She ran to him. "You saved us," she said, voice breaking. He turned, tired, relieved. "I told you I'd bring you home." She couldn't speak, just grabbed him, hugged him, tight. He hesitated, then hugged her back. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." When she pulled away, her face was wet. "Who are you?" she asked. "Really?" "Fighter pilot, U.S. Air Force, call sign Hawk." She laughed, cried. "I insulted you." "You did." "I'm sorry." "I know." Around them, passengers gathered, clapping, some crying, others just staring at the man who'd saved them. A little girl walked up to Ethan, holding her mother's hand. "Are you an angel?" she asked. Ethan knelt down. "No, sweetheart, just someone who remembered how to fly." Thank you for saving my mommy. You're welcome. The mother's eyes filled with tears. She mouthed, thank you. Ethan nodded. A reporter pushed through, camera crew behind him. Sir, can we get a statement? Ethan looked uncomfortable. No statement. But you're a hero. I'm a mechanic who remembered how to fly. Amelia stepped forward. He's more than that. The camera turned to her. 3 days ago, she said, voice steady now, I judged this man. I dismissed him. I thought I knew who he was. She looked at Ethan. I was wrong. He's not a hero because he saved a plane. He's a hero because he never needed us to know. Real person detail. A flight attendant later said, when he stepped out of the cockpit, everyone stood and clapped. The CEO just cried. 3 days later, Ethan's face was everywhere. Airport mechanic saves 168 lives. Hidden hero, the fighter pilot. No one knew. Call sign Hawk, the man who landed the impossible. Media camped outside his apartment. He didn't answer the door. His phone rang constantly. Reporters, book agents, movie producers. He ignored them all. Sophie asked, Dad, why don't you talk to them? Because I didn't do it to be famous, kiddo. Then why? Because it was the right thing. She hugged him. You're the best dad. I'm just a dad who got lucky. But the world didn't see it that way. Amelia held a press conference. Full boardroom, cameras everywhere. Questions shouted before she even started. She raised a hand. Silence fell. 3 days ago, without Ethan Cole, 168 people wouldn't be here, including me. Reporters shouted questions. Why didn't anyone know he was a pilot? Amelia answered, voice steady, clear. Because he didn't need us to know. He just did his job. And when the moment came, he did more. Will your company hire him as a pilot? We're discussing that, but honestly, whatever he chooses, we owe him everything. Do you regret how you treated him on the first flight? The room went silent. Amelia paused, then answered honestly. Yes, I judged him without knowing him. I saw oil on his hands and thought I knew his worth. I was wrong, and I'll spend the rest of my life making sure I never make that mistake again. Her voice cracked on the last words. The conference ended. She sat alone in her office afterward, staring at her hands. Hands that had never been dirty, never fixed anything, never saved anyone. She picked up her phone, texted Ethan. Can I see you? 3 dots appeared. Then, my place, 7 p.m. After the press conference, she drove to his apartment. Small, clean, modest, knocked. Sophie opened the door, 9 years old, bright eyes. Her father's smile. Are you Miss Hayes? I am. Dad said you're the lady who doesn't know how to be scared. Amelia laughed, eyes wet. No, your dad's the one who taught me I was terrified of the wrong things. Sophie smiled. Come in. Dad's making spaghetti. She let her in. The apartment was small but warm. Photos on the walls, Sophie's drawings on the fridge. A life built with love, not money. Ethan stood at the stove, apron on, stirring sauce. He looked up. You came. I had to. Why? Because I owe you my life. You don't owe me anything. Then I owe you an apology. A real one. He turned off the stove. Sit. She did. They sat at the small kitchen table, Sophie coloring nearby. I've been thinking, Amelia said, about that flight, about what you said at the cafe, about what matters. And you were right. I've spent my whole life building walls, keeping people out, staying in control. And now I don't want walls, I want windows. He smiled. That's a start. I want to do something, build something in your name. Like what? A foundation, training young pilots, supporting veteran families, scholarships for kids who want to fly but can't afford it. He looked surprised. Why? Because people like you shouldn't be invisible, and I have the resources to make sure they're not. What would you call it? She took a breath. Hawk Foundation, if you'll let me. He stared at her, eyes glistening. Sophie looked up from her coloring. That's your call sign, Dad. He nodded. Couldn't speak. Amelia continued. I know it won't fix what I said, how I treated you, but maybe it's a start. Ethan reached across the table, took her hand. It's more than a start. It's everything. She squeezed back, tears falling now. Thank you, she whispered, for not giving up on that plane or on me. Thank you for seeing me. Finally. Sophie stood up, walked over, handed Amelia her drawing. It showed a plane, a man with a cape and stars. This is Dad, Sophie said. Sophie. He's my hero. Amelia looked at it, then at Ethan, then back at Sophie. He's mine too. They ate spaghetti together, talked, laughed, cried a little. Real person detail. Sophie later said, Miss Hayes came over and made Dad smile. He hadn't smiled like that in a long time, and she ate 3 plates of spaghetti. Dad was really happy. A week later, the Hawk Foundation was announced. Press release, major news outlets, social media explosion. Amelia spoke at the launch event, hotel ballroom, hundreds of people. Sometimes you have to fall to learn how to fly again. I fell, and someone lifted me up. She paused, looked at the back of the room where Ethan stood. He didn't do it for recognition. He did it because that's who he is. And now we're going to make sure others like him get the support they deserve. Applause. Standing ovation. After the speech, reporters swarmed, but Amelia found Ethan first. He was standing outside, looking at the sky. Will you fly again? She asked. Only if someone sitting next to me makes me want to land. She laughed, voice soft. Then let's take off one more time, Captain. He turned to her, serious now. I'm not a captain anymore, just a father. And maybe, if you'll have me, your co-pilot. She smiled. I'd like that. A training plane flew overhead, white contrail cutting the blue sky. They stood together, watching it disappear. Real person detail. An employee later recalled, after the ceremony, she took off her heels and sat next to him on the curb. They watched planes take off for an hour. Didn't say much, just existed together. It was the most peaceful thing I'd ever seen. 1 year later, Hawk Foundation had trained 40 pilots, supported 60 families, built 3 scholarships. Amelia stood at the anniversary event, microphone in hand. A year ago, I almost died. So did 167 others. But one man didn't let that happen. She looked at Ethan, front row, Sophie beside him. He taught me something I'd forgotten, that the people who matter most are often the ones we overlook. Applause. After the event, they walked to the airfield, just the 2 of them. Small planes lined up, ready for training flights. Do you miss it? She asked. Every day. Then fly, he shook his head. I'm done with that life. No, you're done with the old version, but there's a new one waiting. What do you mean? She handed him a folder. He opened it. Read, flight instructor position? At Hawk Foundation, teaching the next generation. He looked at her. You're serious. I am. Why? Because you shouldn't stop flying. You should just fly differently. His eyes glistened. I'd have to think about it. Think fast. Classes start next month. He laughed. You don't take no for an answer. I learned from the best. They sat on the edge of the tarmac, watching planes take off. Sophie ran over. Dad, can we fly too? Ethan smiled. One day, kiddo. Promise? Promise. Amelia watched them, father and daughter. Simple, pure. You know, she said, I used to think success was corner offices and billion-dollar deals. And now? Now I think it's this, watching someone you care about be happy. He looked at her. You care about me? More than I thought possible. Why? Because you're real. In a world full of fake. He reached over, took her hand. I care about you too. She squeezed back. They sat like that until the sun set, orange and pink painting the sky, planes still flying overhead, real person detail. A ground crew member saw them and later said, they sat there for an hour, didn't talk much. Just watched the sky. It was the most peaceful thing I'd ever seen. 6 months after that, Ethan started teaching. His students loved him, said he was tough but fair. Amelia visited often, brought coffee, stayed to watch. One day, he took her up in a small trainer plane. "Ready?" he asked. "Terrified," she said. "Good. Fear keeps you sharp." They took off, smooth, climbing into blue. Geneva spread below them. Mountains beyond. "Beautiful," she whispered. "It is," he said. But he was looking at her. When they landed, she was crying. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing. Everything's right." He wiped her tears. "Then why cry?" "Because I almost missed this, almost missed you." "But you didn't." "No. Fate asked if there were any fighter pilots, and you answered." He smiled. "And you listened." They stood on the tarmac, wind blowing, planes around them. "Ethan?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for not giving up, on that plane, on yourself, on me. Thank you for seeing me. I'll always see you now." "Good, because I'm not going anywhere." And he didn't. They built a life, not perfect, but real, full of planes and coffee and moments that mattered. Sophie grew up surrounded by pilots and stories. Amelia became known not for her wealth, but her heart. Ethan never stopped teaching, never stopped flying. And every time a plane took off, they both looked up, remembering the day the sky almost took everything and gave them everything instead. If you believe in stories like this, stories where people fall and rise, where judging turns to understanding, where ordinary moments become extraordinary, subscribe for more stories worth remembering. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten.